Hey everyone, I'm Nick Meter, founder of Soul Lift Cacao. Recently, when I was telling somebody about what I do with cacao sourcing from family farms in Guatemala, they asked me an interesting question that I hadn't heard before and didn't quite know how to answer. Essentially, somebody asked how I felt about the problems with accessibility with cacao. People in countries where cacao grows not having access to it the way that people in more developed nations are starting to. And this puzzled me because I know from experience that you can walk into a marketplace in pretty much any town in Latin America and find cacao beans for a relatively affordable price. I think this question actually comes from the case of quinoa. There have been reports about prices of quinoa going up because people in more developed nations want it, and then the people in Peru, for instance, are having trouble affording their staple grain that they're so used to. That's really not the case with cacao. Cacao, like I said, cacao is available in pretty much any marketplace. People can get beans, and they do have customs and traditions for preparing it in their food dishes and all of that. The thing about ceremonial cacao is that there's just a lot of attention going into the way that it's grown. It takes, first of all, organic farming, a small scale setup, and a lot of intention has to go into it. So it's not that the cacao in a marketplace is any worse for people in those parts of the world. It's just that ceremonial cacao is grown for a very specific purpose of meditative use and spiritual self-development. So it's great that cacao is still accessible, just as accessible as beans or rice in that part of the world, essentially. But the thing about the ceremonial cacao movement is that it is bringing attention to sustainable farming practices, safe employment conditions, and fair direct trade practices where there's an actual relationship with the family farm who's growing the cacao. And in the case of our Rukushuleu partners, that's the women's collective in Guatemala, so when we buy from them, 100% of the profits of that sale go back to the women who are preparing the cacao and the families who grow the cacao. In other words, the ceremonial cacao movement has immense potential to give back to people who have kept cacao traditions alive for millennia. And by making a purchase from Soul Lift Cacao, you are, in fact, directly supporting indigenous Mayan people in Guatemala. So I think that's something to feel really good about, and it's definitely wrapped up in my whole mission for what I'm doing with Soul Lift Cacao. As time goes on, I'm going to be seeking more and more ways to give back and to make sure that things don't just slip into good marketing, but that there's actually ethics and accountability so that we can have our cacao and eat it too, so to speak, so that we can enjoy the benefits of this amazing superfood and spiritual aid while also creating a positive impact for people in parts of the world where cacao has always grown. So thanks for watching. Check out the link at this video if you can receive some cacao right in your mailbox. And there's a video on the website on how to make a drink of ceremonial cacao for yourself.